Vocabio. Master English your way.
Program, and most community localized efforts don't have that kind of funding. It would be nice.
The supremacy of the individual, the supremacy of localized decision making, so that the issues that
in a very, very localized area, so it doesn't hurt the neighboring cells.
On the earth, these localized rituals become pan-Andean in the case of
a mass in her abdomen. It was a localized tumor, so the surgeons opened her up. They went ahead and cut out
metro stations, dismantling monuments. It's very, I regard it as a
corrupt establishment he's seeking to dismantle. But many are simply Argentinian citizens.
Together as a team, a bad principal can dismantle a good school just as quickly. So leadership
not engage, and it dismantles our democracy and dismantles politics. And I hope we...
In fact, we actively dismantle it. We are the medics who swapped stethoscopes
around heat and acclimatization and acclimating, and just like any athletes.
So they'll work to continue to acclimate the space station once again. We're also hoping
there's some of what we do to kind of help students acclimate with their post-collegiate life in terms of line.
I started to, just when I got acclimated, then I had to go back to Montana. So I had probably 5.
Your nanny, maybe you would be acclimated and acculturated to it in a way that it would not disturb you. And I think
of sort of a global racial awakening, if you like. And so I sort of
a moment of awakening where it seems absolutely obvious and effortlessly so.
Your heart and your mind. So I hope that's helpful.
To awaken, to start with being kind to yourself, and to start with
waiting for the heart to awaken. So in moments where you may feel downtrodden or
not for solving problems, but for pandering, for parading on Twitter.
Accurate. And leaders who only pander to the dominant models of their tribe.
When are we moving past this? When are we going to stop pandering? When are we going to stop spoon feeding? And I think
8 years ago was pandering in the opposite direction. His employees.
The only economy or government worth pandering to. Tech companies that once partnered with the military had decided.
Most of you may know, and you see kind of culminating in a drawing set for a project on Harvard's campus in 2016 with
taking so much traction and in a sense culminating years later in now building.
It's progressive, it's sequential, and this culminated in the 5 stages of grief, which were
Alumni Weekend at
bump in, bump out research spaces, culminating in a roof terrace with a series of seminar rooms.
Refusing to sign a loan agreement on the grounds it would worsen Greece's economic circumstances, which brought him into
climate change. So the environment
remotely, our posture may have worsened. I'll say mine is beyond may.
Widespread problematic social patterns that serve to worsen social inequalities.
As the pandemic continued, my skin worsened. I started reading about skin health, and ultimately I became
to overcome, as current history demonstrates. It's very hard to think.
Your agencies in the federal government, and sort of demonstrated that even no matter where you win in the federal government.
To demonstrate that it is possible to have this.
Very suddenly, when there were young people demonstrating, and that was quite striking, that the government should
and allow themselves to be criticized. Otherwise, what they're demonstrating to our adversaries.
Of this era, do you find most misrepresented in modern retellings, i.e. most dramatizations?
And it's just completely misrepresented. And
who was so frustrated by how misrepresented his research was that he wrote a book called Peak.
And misrecognized, misrepresented, we have still created incredible change.
That simplify the world and often misrepresent it. So there's a good book by Jack Moss called
and the few guys that did have little burgeoning criminal records, it was nothing.
In Brooklyn, the burgeoning tech community of Dumbo had over 500 companies, mainly startups.
Including the sustainable fisheries and markets, the burgeoning biofuel projects, and the Dunga swamp.
Work on the show.
Pride was burgeoning as well in the halls of the young TV station. Cable
and insurance, and even sort of the burgeoning or nascent telecommunication industries.
Not everyone was so keen on his moralizing message and tasteless fare, including
was being moralized by that. So to recreate
individuals who are more likely to moralize greed being good, and that the pursuit of self-interest
of politicians who use strong moralizing language to tell people how to live.
Grill pan, like a perforated grill pan, inside on the stove, flipped it over.
Carve an existential sentence into the wall. A perforated wall that configures a base. We've added a 2-layer perforated aluminium suspended ceiling, which is in color pink.
It's called Jali, perforated brickwork walls. But I wanted to make something of the entrance.
Muy profesionalmente, dice, bueno, que lo tengo que aprender por fuerza.
It is only when you devote yourself to something professionally that you think.
And it not only has to be reimagined in a different way, but it must begin at its
brutalist concrete structures, reimagined as a brutalist steel form with exposed welding.
Look forward to his thoughts on how he has reimagined education and what's next for the future of this field.
That is too big to be reimagined, let alone be transformed. But
behavior change does. So we reimagined a business model around 3 things. We committed for the long haul.
I get so much abuse. Oh, yeah, you're going to commentate on it. I've been saying for years and years and years that
90, I was being considered to do commentating. Well, who I was up against compete.
In terms of format, time control, how it's structured, covered, presented, commentated, advertised, etc. Yeah, like I said, I did an interview.
Nowadays, who like when they are playing, they commentate. For example, Hikaru was one of the
don't exist in our everyday technology. We're not quantifying brain health in the same way that we treat the rest of our.
Is safe enough? Let's quantify it. Would we accept the death of one person who didn't want to die?
A question to the release form that asks people to quantify themselves on a scale of 1 to 100% gay.
A lot like the ocean's accountant. And as I quantified connections in fisheries, like how many sharks die per...
When it comes from a space of healing, like you can't quantify the impact that it's going to have on people in a...
is having on the kids who are incarcerated.
Well, in my position as the chair for the Merced County Juvenile Justice...
or recently incarcerated. When our paychecks bounce, I wanted to do something.
Eligible, and people should be incarcerated pre-trial because of that. And then there's the...
not including those permanently maimed or incarcerated for life. I was one of those gang members.
His family from their LA home and incarcerated them at Gila River internment camp in Arizona.
Cantilevered structure that no one has inspected for 60 years, and a study was aborted.
Loza had a bank fault, and I got a chance to inspect this with Greebird, and we decided it was the right picture. There was some...
A surface that Juliana inspects and doesn't just bear an image, but an image of a...
On the big loop include inspecting some residue that was reported on the...
Down to the Cape. And while I was there, I was tasked to inspect the hardware as it was recovered from the Atlantic Ocean.
There was so much going on here. Skin smoothing, skin lightening, teeth whitening, nose narrowing, bigger eyes.
To me, you lighten the load on nature by decoupling well.
Lighten up. And enjoy this. This will give you a sense of...
Loosen up a room. How do you lighten up the situation and kind of, get in...
Evidence to the rest of our lives, because we can't unlearn what we've learned in that process. Does that make sense?
And so I read the book, and honestly, I just couldn't unlearn or unsee the things that I had read. And from
we learn a particular prejudice and then we want to unlearn it. I don't think social media is conducive to it at all.
As they were learning and unlearning from their experience at slave play.
Unlearning what we were taught in English class was huge to me. Yeah.
This very particular group of people who originated in Saxony and Germany and who...
The blackface minstrelsy.
Black-based minstrelsy originated in New York and not the South.
It is not how nature does it. Universe originated in a hot soup of plasmas, and
of this energy has always originated from burning fossil fuels. And because of
there are other countries, then Western countries should ban apps that originate from China and other countries. Where do you
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.